So, do you know how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years?
Too many.
Okay. Okay, now 5 is a lot, right? I'm gonna give you some credit. Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting, gang?
A political figure shot in front of his own family, a mysterious jet, cameras going dark, and a story that doesn't add up. What really happened to Charlie Kirk and who's behind it will shock you. Candace Owens, the outspoken political commentator and activist, appears to be navigating one of the most turbulent periods of her public career following a sudden and unexpected rift with her longtime collaborator and close ally, Charlie Kirk. For over a decade, the pair had maintained a working relationship that, by all outward appearances, seemed unshakable. They shared a platform not just in ideology but in personal and professional ventures, often appearing shoulder to shoulder at conferences, debate panels, and campaign events that spanned the nation. Their synchronized messaging and public camaraderie became a hallmark of their shared brand, fostering a loyal following of supporters who admired the apparent unity between the two figures. That's why the news of their falling out has sent shockwaves, not only through their immediate circles but also across social media platforms, mainstream news outlets, and political commentary forums. Observers and insiders alike are scratching their heads, trying to understand what could have caused a fissure so sudden and deep in a partnership that many considered unbreakable. Sources close to Owens indicate that she is far from indifferent about this dispute. Unlike other public feuds that fizzle quietly behind the scenes or dissipate over time, Candace is reportedly planning a strategic and deliberate response. Friends and confidants suggest that she sees the fallout not simply as a professional disagreement but as a personal betrayal, one that strikes at the core of her long-standing alliance with Kirk. In private conversations, she is said to have expressed a sense of outrage mixed with disbelief, emphasizing that the situation requires more than a simple statement on social media or a perfunctory clarification. The sentiment seems to be that the public deserves and, perhaps even demands, a full and transparent account of what has transpired. Such a stance is notable, given Owens' history of confronting controversies head-on. She has never been one to retreat quietly or accept narratives at face value, and those familiar with her approach suggest that her current strategy will be no different. According to multiple sources, Candace's planned counterstrike is not intended to be a reactive measure, but a proactive attempt to reclaim the narrative and shed light on what she perceives as misrepresentations or hidden agendas. She is reportedly preparing to share insider details about the nature of her professional and personal relationship with Kirk, including conversations, decisions, and agreements that occurred behind the scenes. While the specifics of her planned disclosures remain unknown, the implications are enough to generate widespread speculation. Social media analysts and political commentators are already theorizing about the potential scope of her revelations. Could they expose unreported conflicts of interest? Might they illuminate previously unseen dynamics in the decision-making processes of their shared projects? Or could they reveal information that directly challenges the carefully curated public personas both have maintained over the years? Each possibility carries the potential to shift public perception in profound ways, particularly among followers who have long trusted the duo's unified front. The timing of Owens' response adds another layer of intrigue. Observers have noted that the rift became publicly visible at a moment when both individuals were heavily engaged in high-profile political initiatives. This overlap has led some commentators to speculate that the disagreement may be tied not only to personal or professional issues but also to broader ideological or strategic disputes. For instance, in recent months, both Owens and Kirk have faced scrutiny over their involvement in various political campaigns, organizational decisions, and media appearances. In these contexts, small disagreements could easily escalate into significant conflicts, particularly when amplified by the constant scrutiny of the public eye. The fact that this fallout has occurred amid such high-stakes activity only intensifies interest in what exactly went wrong, as well as what the consequences might be for both figures moving forward. Widespread speculation about Owens' next steps has taken on a life of its own across social media platforms. Twitter threads, Facebook discussions, and Reddit forums are filled with theories, rumors, and conjectures about what she might reveal and how it could reshape the public understanding of her relationship with Kirk. Some suggest that Owens could unveil internal communications that paint a radically different picture of their alliance than the one publicly portrayed. while others speculate about legal or financial implications that might emerge if previously undisclosed agreements come to light. The sheer volume of discussion online underscores the fascination and, in some cases, the anxiety surrounding her anticipated disclosures. Public interest is fueled not only by curiosity about the particulars of the fallout, but also by a broader sense that figures like Owens and Kirk operate in spheres where behind-the-scenes maneuvering can carry enormous consequences. In this sense, the unfolding situation is about far more than personalities. It is a window into the inner workings of high-profile political and media ecosystems. Even beyond her immediate circle of influence, Candace Owens' actions have broader implications for public discourse and political dynamics. As a figure known for her ability to shape narratives, influence audiences, and mobilize supporters, the way she handles this rift could set a precedent for how disagreements between prominent public figures are perceived and responded to in the media. If she chooses to disclose insider information or offer a detailed account of behind-the-scenes interactions, it could trigger a cascade of responses from other political commentators, media outlets, and even rival factions who have a vested interest in controlling or framing the narrative. The potential reverberations extend well beyond the immediate dispute, touching on issues of transparency, accountability, and the ethics of public communication. In addition to the strategic and reputational dimensions, there is a deeply human element to this conflict. For Owens, the rift is not simply a matter of public image or professional positioning, it is also a personal disappointment. Years of collaboration, mutual support, and shared endeavors have forged bonds that are difficult to sever without emotional impact. The sense of betrayal reported by insiders suggests that this episode has elicited a strong emotional response, one that is inseparable from the strategic decisions she is now contemplating. Observers note that when personal and professional grievances intersect in the public eye, the consequences are amplified, often generating a mixture of sympathy, curiosity, and judgment from audiences who struggle to separate the personal stakes from the public spectacle. Ultimately, the question on everyone's mind is whether Owens' forthcoming revelations will substantiate the intrigue and speculation or merely confirm what insiders already suspect. Will she reveal explosive information capable of shifting narratives, altering alliances, or even influencing public opinion on a larger scale? And beyond that, could this dispute hint at deeper, previously concealed stories, the kind of behind-the-scenes maneuvers and decisions that others have been desperate to keep hidden? Only time will tell. What is clear, however, is that Candace Owens is entering this phase of her career with the same boldness, determination, and willingness to confront controversy that have defined much of her public life. As the situation continues to unfold, both her supporters and critics will be watching closely, fully aware that the next chapter in this saga has the potential to be as dramatic, revealing, and consequential as anything that has come before. In sum, what we are witnessing is far more than a mere disagreement between two prominent figures. It is a multifaceted event that intertwines personal loyalty, professional strategy, public perception, and the dynamics of modern political media. Candace Owens' next moves will not only determine the immediate trajectory of her relationship with Charlie Kirk, but may also have lasting implications for how public figures navigate conflicts, manage narratives, and maintain credibility in an age of relentless scrutiny. As speculation swirls and anticipation builds, the public and the media are left to wonder what truths, secrets, and revelations lie just beyond the curtain, waiting for Candace Owens to bring them to light.
You had a daughter and she was 10 and she was gonna give
birth
and she would, no wait, oh, and she was gonna give birth and she was gonna live. Would you want her to go through that and carry her fifth baby?
That's awfully graphic.
But it's a real life scenario that happens to many people.
The answer is yes, the baby would be delivered.
Oh, okay, great.
The unfolding story suggests that far more is happening behind the scenes than anyone is publicly acknowledging. Piecing together the available information paints a picture that is both alarming and deeply unsettling. Charlie Kirk, the high-profile conservative activist and founder of Turning Point USA, was in the midst of an extensive campaign tour, traveling from city to city to promote his organization's political messaging and engage with audiences directly. On this particular day, he arrived at Utah Valley University, an environment familiar to him and to his team. The event, as described by attendees, carried that signature energy typical of Kirk's appearances, fiery debates, audience participation, and the palpable excitement of a political figure interacting directly with supporters and critics alike. On the surface, everything seemed routine. the kind of spirited engagement that Kirk had orchestrated countless times over the years. Security personnel, volunteers, and event organizers had worked meticulously to ensure that the evening would proceed without incident, and there was no immediate indication that anything unusual was about to occur. Yet, in the blink of an eye, the atmosphere shifted from normalcy to chaos. A single gunshot rang out, shattering the routine of the event and instantly transforming a lively political debate into a scene of absolute terror. Witnesses recount the horror of seeing Kirk struck directly in the neck. The bullet, they later reported, pierced the carotid arteria, critical blood vessel responsible for supplying oxygenated blood to the brain. The consequences were immediate and catastrophic. Within moments, Kirk collapsed to the ground, losing consciousness almost instantly. Panic erupted in the room as audience members screamed, scrambled, and tried to comprehend what had just happened. The sense of shock was palpable. What had begun as a controlled, familiar political event had turned into an urgent medical emergency that no one was prepared to handle. Medical personnel on site and first responders moved swiftly, attempting to stabilize him and provide life-saving measures. But the severity of the injury was profound. The rapid loss of blood and the trauma caused by a bullet to such a vital artery created a scenario in which every second counted. The chaos extended beyond the physical collapse. Organizers struggled to manage the frightened crowd, communicate with emergency services, and maintain order amid an escalating scene of confusion and terror. Social media feeds began filling with first-hand accounts, live videos, and frantic messages from those present, capturing the immediacy and intensity of the situation in real time. But the story's complexity doesn't end with the shooting itself. The aftermath only deepened the sense of shock and urgency, raising questions about the circumstances surrounding the event. How did a gunman manage to carry out such a precise attack in a controlled environment? What security measures were in place, and how did they fail to prevent such a direct strike? Investigators and onlookers alike have been left grappling with these questions as they try to piece together not just what happened, but why it happened and who might have been involved. In the span of just a few minutes, a standard political engagement transformed into a tragedy with ramifications that extended far beyond the walls of Utah Valley University, leaving families, colleagues, and the public reeling as they confronted a moment that seemed almost unimaginable.
They were actually better in the 1940s. It was bad, it was evil, but what happened? Something changed. They committed less crimes.
Maybe they were afraid. I mean, 4,000 Black men, women, and children were in violent lynch mobs.
If that's your explanation, but I guess
racial terror permeated American culture for hundreds of years.
Black America is worse than it has been
that
in the last
affected
80 years.
The generational psyche of an entire group of people?
Well, I'm sure.
Online chatter is exploding with speculation that this was far from a random incident, or even calling it a calculated, professional-style attack. Observers note the shooter reportedly fired from nearly 200 yards away, hitting a moving target with uncanny precision. Whether you were a fan of Charlie Kirk or a vocal critic, the brutality of the event is undeniable, leaving supporters shattered and opponents stunned. At its core, it's a stark reminder that political debates should never come at such a horrifying human cost. The story darkens further when you consider the audience. Charlie's wife, Erica, and their 2 young children were reportedly present during the attack. Their daughter had just turned 3, and their son only 1. Witnessing such a traumatic event unfold in real time is a nightmare. No family should endure losing a parent in such a public and devastating way is unimaginable. But the controversy doesn't end there. Not everyone is rushing to show sympathy. Internet sleuths quickly dug up old tweets and interviews, resurfacing statements that paint Charlie in an even more polarizing light. Clips circulating online show him making extreme claims, from insisting he would force his own daughter to carry a pregnancy to term under any circumstance, to saying Black people were better off under slavery prior to the 1940s. In another interview, he even suggested that deaths are sometimes acceptable if it protects Second Amendment rights, a statement now hauntingly ironic given recent events. Charlie was never short on critics. His unapologetic stances earned him enemies as fast as supporters. The intensity of the backlash was so extreme that, just 2 days before his death, Jezebel published a story claiming they had allegedly hired Etsy witches to cast a curse on him.
Question to somebody who I know because I don't know you.
Some future president.
Donald Trump Jr. Yeah, Donald Trump Jr. My question is, how do you support your father for the things that he said, such as he believes that you should grab women by the
He didn't say that.
Fill
I
in the
want to say
blank.
something.
Done,
I want to
done.
say something.
Let
Let me do it.
Candace
Let me
take
do it.
this.
Let me do it.
No,
Let me
that's a
stop.
ridiculous
But
question,
it's such
first
a
and foremost.
ridiculous
Because I'm
question.
sure you've never said anything
Are
bad
you
in your life.
mad? Are you mad?
I'm sure.
But you just called liberal.
One section of that Jezebel article quickly went viral for its almost surreal tone. The writer recounted, "After placing my first spell to make everyone hate him, I was left with more questions than answers. How long would it take to kick in? Should I have splurged for a pricier spell to make it work faster?" Shortly afterward, the supposed witch followed up, attempting to sell a $50 spell booster that, according to them, would amplify the original cursor. You could simply wait for it to take effect naturally. The writer decided to trust the timing. The result? The timing of Charlie's tragedy felt eerily precise. Coincidence? Maybe, but online speculation surged. To Jezebel's credit, they later condemned the violence and tried to distance themselves from the story. Yet the fact that an outlet openly joked about casting spells on him days before his death highlighted just how many people were openly rooting against Charlie. Social media naturally erupted with opinions. One viral tweet summed up the complicated public reaction. Not having empathy for someone who didn't extend it to others is a normal human reaction. Should it have happened? No. Does everyone have to feel bad? Also, no. But I do feel terrible for his wife and kids. Many noted the painful irony. Charlie himself had often dismissed the very concept of empathy. The fallout quickly reached the highest levels of politics. Former President Donald Trump tweeted a dramatic tribute. "The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me. Melania and I send our sympathies to his beautiful wife Erica and family." Former President Barack Obama also weighed in, emphasizing the shock to the political world. "We don't yet know what motivated the person who targeted Charlie Kirk. But this kind of despicable violence has no place in our democracy. Michelle and I will be praying for Charlie's family tonight, especially his wife Erica and their 2 young children." President Joe Biden echoed the call for action, tweeting, "There is no place in our country for this kind of violence. It must end now. Jill and I are praying for Charlie Kirk's family and loved ones." Vice President Kamala Harris added her own statement. "I am deeply disturbed by what happened in Utah. Doug and I send our prayers to Charlie Kirk and his family." Political violence has no place in America, and leaders across the spectrum have been quick to condemn it. But for Candace Owens, this tragedy hit on a profoundly personal level. She wasn't just commenting from the sidelines. Charlie Kirk was a longtime ally. They toured together, spoke shoulder to shoulder at countless events, and built a bond over years of collaboration. The moment news of the shooting broke, Candace took to Twitter. "Everyone, please stop what you are doing and pray for Charlie Kirk, please." Her post went viral instantly, capturing the raw shock she was experiencing in real time. Tragically, Charlie never made it out alive. The shooting occurred around 12:20 p.m., according to Reuters, and he was rushed to a nearby hospital in critical condition. Surgeons worked frantically, but his life could not be saved. Candace tweeted again, in disbelief, "I can't process this." Grief quickly shifted into determination. She began demanding answers and calling for a deeper investigation into the events surrounding his death. Conspiracy theories soon flooded social media. One user noted the suspicious flight of a private jet tail number N888KG that left Provo Airport roughly an hour after the shooting, disappeared from a DSB tracking mid-flight, which is illegal, and then returned. Other online investigators pointed to surveillance gaps near the university campus and suggested the shooter's pinpoint accuracy implied military-level training. Candace amplified these concerns, retweeting posts and urging her followers to dig deeper. Her online presence grew increasingly fiery. Hours after Charlie's death, she went live, declaring that she believes powerful forces were involved and that the incident may have been part of a larger plot. She urged anyone with information to come forward, tweeting, "If anybody knows anything about this, please comment below or email tips@candaceowens.com." Candace has openly dismissed the long gunman explanation, tweeting, "I can't believe this is real. Who called the hit on Charlie? We need answers." The FBI has officially stepped in, confirming that agents from the Salt Lake City field office responded immediately, and that all available resources, operational, investigative, and intelligence, are devoted to the case. They are co-leading the investigation alongside other partners, ensuring a full, thorough review, with Candace Owens pushing for the truth on one side and federal authorities on the other. The search for answers is far from over. Social media is ablaze with speculation, questions, and grief, and the story continues to unfold. The nation watches, waiting for clarity, while Candace remains relentless in her pursuit of justice for her friend.